Hello, guys and gals, me Mutahar, and I'm sitting in the dark, red light and all, because it's spooky hours. And if you're a gamer, potentially there could be some spooky hours for you. This is a pretty developing situation, but one that I kind of wanted to touch on because it is just so new and it is just so low-key for now. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this has actually been tipped off to me from a cheat developer, okay? Now, if you play online games, specifically today we're talking about Call of Duty, okay? If you play Call of Duty Warzone, which is played by millions of people around the world every single day, then you might potentially have your information stolen if you're a dirty little cheater. Now, to understand, I obviously don't care if a cheater gets their game or information stolen, simply because I think if you cheat in an online video game, my levels of sympathy for you are at an all-time low. But this, ladies and gentlemen, comes at us from a group known as Phantom Overlay. Now, I'm not going to be giving the link to access this website simply because they are a cheat developer, but I don't want to promote any of that. So for instance, they say they're Phantom Overlay, where your favorite streamers and closet cheating friends purchase their cheating software. Yeah, it's not uncommon for certain streamers on the internet to fake their gameplay and cheat online because they can get those juicy clips. And when they talk about closet cheaters, basically people that are cheaters, but they keep it low-key enough to never ever get banned. Or if they do get caught in a ban wave, it's because they got a little bit too greedy. But to understand, they've been around for 2 years apparently, and they've maintained the top spot in the market. What they provide is FPS software, ESP software, and the ability for you to wall hack, aimbot, do whatever. Now to understand, they say that they're stream safe, meaning that no matter what, their software doesn't get caught under any recording, any streaming, or any capture function. So apparently, for all those, streamers out there that get caught, with their cheats, we've all seen the clips. Apparently, these guys have created a software that just cannot be detected. Now, of course, they do show actual gameplay, and I'm not going to go into it because I don't know if showing cheat gameplay is necessarily with YouTube's terms of services. A lot of these guys upload their videos unlisted to kind of skirt underneath the moderation, but that's besides the point. The reason I'm talking about this cheat group is that according to their Telegram service that has 5,814 subscribers as of today, they actually just announced that they are basically witnessing the largest info stealer malware campaign in gaming cheating community history. It is targeting the gaming cheating community. There are more logins stolen in the database for gaming cheating related websites than most social media websites. So apparently, according to this announcement so far, they have more compromised information just from cheaters than, again, most social media websites. That's pretty massive. So what they say is there's some latency program, VPN, or something that millions of gamers are using that is info stealer malware. We will give you an update once we find out what softwares have the malware, but it seems to be an entire network of free, cheap software. So here they basically give some figures. Battle.net, okay, has about 3.6 million logins stolen in the database. Massive. Activision alone has 561,000 logins stolen in the database. EPVP, 117,000, UC, 572,000, PO, Blog, RN, ACD, AA, EO, GameSense, and of course, the websites that they're mentioning are not breached. Their users used malware and the saved passwords in their browser were stolen. So for a lot of people that saved their sessions, and of course they have their tokens sitting around in their web browsers, that ends up getting stolen because they basically ran actual info-stealing malware on their system, allegedly. The numbers above are inflated. More than half of the login lines in the database for each domain are invalid garbage. So numbers are yet to be completely, nailed down. So that's some pretty wild shit. And of course, initially I thought, okay, maybe this isn't that big of a deal. Maybe we need more info to come out. Well, more information did end up coming out. For instance, they even said hours later, okay, the info stealer database actually added even more logins. The malware is actually, as of now, still active, according to these guys, on millions of machines. Unfortunately, this is about the end of my major involvement for it. I have a pretty good idea of where the malware is coming from, but the malware gang is aware of suspicions on them and has made it increasingly hard to prove anything. So to understand the people that are running this malware, they're obviously of a sophisticated capacity according to this message. Again, these are still completely to be determined. And what has happened is because now the spotlight is on them, they're trying to basically hide their activities the best that they can. For now, anybody who owns a website or service of any kind can email these individuals. So they sent the database to EO, and they're basically having them take action. They're taking it, they sent it to EPVP, they sent it to AA, they sent it to 20 other people, and they've taken action. Now, where the kicker in this situation, and what's really bonkers, is apparently, according to these guys, even Activision Blizzard reached out to them, and they're apparently incredibly active just to protect their users. They will help us assist millions of infected users on larger services such as Discord or services for other game companies using their connections. And for now, that's about all they have. Now, that's pretty massive. To give you an idea, Activision, Bungie, a lot of these big, massive gaming companies that run massive live service experiences traditionally just sue these guys because they actually cost them business. It's kind of unheard that Activision would be working with the people that cost them money, people that they would typically sue in a normal setting to make sure that people are safe. It's actually mind-boggling. And again, I'm trying to really process the legitimacy of this. So again, I wouldn't really be making a video had it not been for the actual creator of this malware reaching out to me via Twitter. So Zeblier PO is the developer owner of Phantom Overlay, also some ugly guy let me take over his alternate Twitter account. And again, these guys are followed by VX Underground, which again are friends of the channel. So to give you an idea over here, apparently, according to this guy, apparently regular gamers are also affected too. So this person reached out to me to describe this situation, and I kind of want to read a couple of these things because it is quite bonkers in my opinion. So March 19th, the guy mentions hello. He says several million gamers are infected with InfoStealer malware. No one's talking about it because no one knows. I started digging around today because a user got their PO account taken, and I've had a lot of reports that recently, so I investigated and found the database for the InfoStealer. I think the malware is in an authentication system that most software in my community and in the gaming community uses, such as VPNs and latency stuff. So when they say latency stuff, I think what they're referring to is latency reduction software. So for instance, this is just one example, LagoFast, where basically the entire concept over here is to optimize your connection and your system to connect to a lot of these big, massive video game services and reduce overall latency. So latency, obviously, in a multiplayer game is the time it takes for your computer to communicate with the actual server or another person. And again, the less that is, the better and more consistent your actual gaming experience will be. Okay, nobody wants high ping, you want low ping. So again, I don't know anybody that personally would use software like this unless they're like super hardcore into pro gaming. I would never recommend stuff like this, but apparently software like this, not LagoFast specifically, but this is what they mentioned with latency reducing software. When they mention VPNs, we'll get to that in a bit too. Some actual people will use VPNs to get themselves into a better lobby. So if there is a compromised VPN somewhere in the list that potentially is spreading InfoStealer malware, that could actually affect gamers too. It seems like it's more that there is a dependency somewhere or some piece of software that this actual cheating software uses in conjunction with other stuff that may be causing this, okay, according to this developer. Now, speaking to this cheater who apparently has access to this database and is consorting with Activision Blizzard and then basically the rest of the gaming industry through them, apparently there seems to be a critical component, something in the authentication department that is a component of a lot of these VPN softwares, latency reduction softwares, that's causing a bit of concern, right? It's why the scope of this is being told is quite large. I mean, when we're looking at the numbers, and again, they're not completely solidified, but they're large enough to cause some serious concern to the point where it may not actually even be just cheaters that are affected. It could just be anybody that's trying to gain a legitimate advantage, right? Somebody who could just be using, game boosting software, so to speak, to give them maybe an extra frame or maybe reduce their latency by some amount, optimize their network stack. It is truly a wildly scary developing situation. And again, I want to just make sure that I get everything out there because I really don't want to spread misinformation. There really isn't all that much to work with as of now. There's a lot of investigation and there's a lot of fear from both ends actually running in this situation. So what they said is one of their customers got their account stolen. Some Russian logged into his account and used his card to buy my cheat. I monitored him through my software as the real customer told me what happened. I noticed he was interacting with this database that I myself am now querying. So what they said, this database has millions of stolen logins for any service you can think of, whether it be EA, Steam, Discord, Battle.net, Activision, anything. So apparently, according to this cheat developer, they think apparently it's a Russian malware gang that's apparently behind this, and they were mostly preparing to sell this database or keep it until some smaller circle until eventually it was found. I'm trying to find the source of the malware. It is something about 14 million people are using based on stolen data. It also has a crypto drainer that is dormant for a while. So if somebody has InfoStealer software installed and they have unsecured crypto wallets on their account, I guess that can be drained. I think I know what it is, but I don't want to release without proof, and they were still, at the time, reverse engineering it yesterday. For now, I'm able to try to give any gaming-related websites their list of stolen logins so that they can issue forced two-factor authentication and password resets. Activision Blizzard reached out to me, and I gave them theirs. I'm about to give to a few other big companies their list so they can keep their users secure. I am a video game cheating scallywag, but malware is just off limits. It's evil. Now, again, I like the moral line here. All right, listen, this guy might just ruin the multiplayer experience for other people, but stealing information and money, that's a step too goddamn far. I love when it comes to internet, when it comes to gamers, the moral lines can be wild sometimes. So I even asked him, I'm like, it seems like the situation is locked to Call of Duty. But of course he said that because that's where it seems the cheating community is specifically targeted, there are 14 million valid Discord logins in this database. Riot, EA, Steam, Ubisoft, any game company you can think of, and they have millions of stolen logins. But he even says what's wild, and one of the reasons I also want to make this video because it caught me, I know that there's non-cheating gamers that are affected too. There is some dependency or component of software that many gaming/cheating softwares are also using. So here they actually sent an email, I guess, to Blizzard, security@blizzard.com, where they said leaked Activision Battle.net accounts from InfoStealer malware. So that was started 3 minutes ago, and even the security team from Blizzard, if this is to be believed, says that, hey there, Zeebler, I've sent you a message via Telegram regarding the stolen @VBNet accounts. Would love to get access to your list if you're willing to share, so dropping this email to confirm my identity. And that's from Thomas Grove at Blizzard Security. Now, according to LinkedIn, Thomas Grove is apparently a security analyst at Blizzard Entertainment. Now, look, at the end of the day, I'm not entirely sure about any of this, just because, again, what I'm seeing here could obviously be faked anyways. This could just be giant hooplas over here. But it is definitely interesting, and it does definitely spark a little bit of worry on me, because if this is real, then, and again, if this spreads to people that aren't using cheating software as well, this can be pretty damaging, at least from a personal security standpoint. So one of the things that I wanted to touch upon here that I talked to the cheat developer on was when I asked how the actual database was stolen by this individual, the database that contains, over 1 billion entries. And again, some of these are repeats, some of these are garbage, but it is a database that is yet to be cleaned up and packaged to be sold by an actual malware gang. When I asked them, apparently it was due to the fact that the person, one of the people involved in the situation who had the database or access to it, had used a stolen version of their cheating software. Now, because their cheating software uses loaders, they can send specialized builds to certain individuals. So what they did was they sent a specialized build to capture information and basically, at the end of the day, this database off of the person that was, using a stolen version of their software. Again, the ethical lines are really wild in this situation. They had basically grabbed access to this database, which they are now sending pieces of to Activision Blizzard, and also through them, EA and every other company out there. So basically, this whole situation appears to be unraveled because one abject moron decided to not use a sandbox system and run a stolen version of a cheat software that allowed the developer of said cheat software to upload a specialized build and grab access to really, really critical things that is now putting this ransomware gang in some jeopardy, okay? Because it's really caused, their entire, I guess you could say, operation to be exposed, and now it's basically being vetted by the actual big companies that they're trying to go after, like Activision, Blizzard, Microsoft in this case. And, if they do determine that there is actual user data that is compromised, then they will obviously alert users. I think if you are somebody that has an account on any gaming service, start changing your passwords and start resetting your two-factor authentications if you so need to, or at least add extra protections to your accounts. Look, you always want to just do the most annoying stuff first. You only have to set up these security measures once, and then you can basically sit back with the peace of mind knowing that even if you are leaked, because you have extra things like 2FA, you'll definitely keep yourself safe in the long term. Now that said, it's wild because this situation appears to be so massive, even Activision, who would normally sue cheat developers, is actually working with them, at least for their database and protecting their customer security, which obviously once this whole situation blows down, the ceasefire between Activision and cheaters will end, and this cheat developer who I'm talking to will probably be hunted down by Activision, or at least the process will start to commence once again. So yeah, one thing that I do want to touch upon is obviously when they mention other softwares. I think when they mention VPN software, specifically free VPN software, which is where I want to touch, I kind of want to anecdote and touch upon a different side-related situation regarding Facebook and a free VPN, which also showcases why you can't trust a lot of the software, especially free stuff too. Again, trying to figure out what the cause of attack is still yet to be determined. But when the cheat developer mentioned latency reduction software, VPN software, the mind can go in numerous directions. So I just want to touch upon something that's kind of been eating at me for a little bit. So please accept the side tangent. Now, it's interesting when they mention VPN software too, because one of the things that I was also researching, and it's obviously unrelated to this, is even recently I was looking through Facebook and I was looking through Onavo, which was actually Facebook's VPN software that turned out to basically be spyware, where if you read articles where Facebook pays teens to install VPNs that spy on them, again, very wild stuff. Facebook apparently has been secretly paying people to install Facebook Research VPN that lets the company suck in all of a user's phone and web activity, similar to Facebook's Onavo Protect app that Apple banned in June and was removed in August. Facebook sidesteps the App Store and rewards teenagers and adults to download the Research app and give it root access to network traffic in what may be a violation of Apple policy, so the social network can decrypt and analyze their phone activity. A TechCrunch investigation confirms. They didn't say alleged. They literally just said confirm. And of course, I was looking through an actual court document that was, published 31st of May, 2023 with Klein v. Meta Platforms Incorporated. And this is insanity if you want to look into it. For instance, they were talking about Onavo. One of the actual claims was Facebook's IAP program targets competition by wiretapping competitors. It wasn't just that they were looking into their actual, personal data of an individual person. They were trying to spy on how their competitors operated. So what they said was documents and testimony showed that this man-in-the-middle approach, which relied on a technology known as server-side SSL bump, performed on Facebook's Onavo servers, was in fact implemented at scale. Between June 2016 and early 2019, Facebook's SSL bump technology was deployed against Snapchat starting in 2016, then against YouTube in 2017 and 2018, and eventually even against Amazon in 2018. The goal of Facebook's SSL bump technology was the company's acquisition, decryption, transfer, and use in competitive decision-making of private encrypted in-app analytics from Snapchat, YouTube, and Amazon apps, which were supposed to be transmitted over a secure connection between those respective apps and secure servers. So yeah, this is not good, especially not great, but the only reason I'm bringing this in this video as well is that obviously when it comes to VPN software, specifically free VPN software, you're basically creating a tunnel from your computer to another computer, and you're basically putting a lot of blind trust into the data you send, which usually when it comes to free VPN software, I would never ever advise using it, simply because I really do feel that most free software, you end up being the product, and especially in this case, your personal information. Not to say paid VPN software is inherently safer or anything, it's just the aspect of paying for VPN software typically should come with the benefits that you're not directly being spied on. But anyways, we're going beyond the point of what we need to. Now, obviously, I don't want to just say that using any free VPN software is necessarily going to throw you into the wolf's den. But the thing is, obviously, there is some degree of protection in the way that how certain protocols, how certain things are transmitted on the internet through your web browser, through, login protocols, whatnot. It's a complicated web, but there are degrees of protection offered to you. The general sense is nobody really knows what is the current attack vector as of now. All we have is apparently a database that Activision is looking into. The reality is if you're a gamer and you are using multiple types of software like VPN or latency reduction software, really anything that has a bit more invasive access into your system or is basically letting you tunnel to another individual, you really have to put a lot of trust into that application. And with trust, you have to understand that when you do use applications of this sort, you may potentially be giving up information that you may not want to. And again, unless you truly understand the real gravitas of what you're using and the software running on your system, I would highly advise staying away from software that is typically free software, free VPNs at least, or free latency reduction software or anything. Just because the risks that come with that kind of software and the level of trust you have to put into it is, in my opinion, not worth it whatsoever. But yeah, let's go back to the info stealer situation in this specific instance and what apparently has caused a lot of information to be given up. And to give you an idea, info stealer malware, one of the examples that we always talk about is redline malware, and I've made an entire virus investigation where I've talked about it. When you use malware like this and it's installed into your system, typically what happens is you create a line between your computer and a command and control server. And if they want to get information from you, depending on the capabilities of certain info stealer malware, you might be giving up more than just your passwords and more than just, basic personal information. So again, to whittle it all down, if this is true, this is a very developing situation. There are two routes that this can go. Either this is completely fake, and I hope to God it's fake. I really do hope to God this is fake. Just because it can be pretty scary for a lot of gamers, especially if it seems people who aren't cheaters are being affected. However, if only cheaters are affected, oh man, I don't give a shit if their information is stolen. That's just funny to me. But the other situation is there could be a component that is causing, or is bundled with this malware, and it's unfortunately caused millions of people to lose their personal information, maybe even money. So we'll have to find out. Gamers are not necessarily the best for their OPSEC or anything, which, history has taught us. But that said, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to bring this up to you because I found it fascinating, and that's pretty much what my channel is, a diary for me. What I find fascinating, I hope you find fascinating as well. That said, next time we're looking at some real kick degeneracy. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.